Our kids are our number one priority, and I want to make sure that our principals and teachers feel supported to do the important work that they do every day. So we have a great school division that have amazing things taking place in our schools. And we see that in our schools each and every day. And so I want to make sure that our educators, our teachers, our principals can focus on that most important task.
What's your message to families, parents in Loudoun who don't trust the board, don't trust the leadership right now, and might be wary of someone who is already in the administration coming in and doing this? What do you say to people who are skeptical of you and the leadership?
I realize it's going to take time to rebuild public trust. And so in every leadership position that I've been in, it's been about transparency. I believe that if we share the reasons for decisions, that most folks can see that we want the common good. We want what's best for our kids. And so to be transparent, to be honest, but also just continue to work for what's best for our kids every day.
Do you feel the administration is transparent
Again,
right
follows
now?
on, let somebody else have a chance.
Do you feel that you're going to need to clean a little bit more house as you get started here? Are there names that were mentioned in that report other than the former superintendents?
I'm not going to comment on that at this point. I think the grand jury is still has not been dismissed, and so I don't think it'd be appropriate for me to comment on that at this point. I'm going to take an open look and see where we are, and continue to see how we can get better every day.
Are kids safe in Loudoun County Public Schools? Is this going to be something that parents can confidently send their children to school, knowing that if something were to happen, they're going to get information, they're going to have the proper care taken for their children? Absolutely.
Our kids are safe. That's our number one priority. We put resources in our schools to make sure our schools are safe. We work with our principals and teachers to ensure that's the case. We always want to get better. We can obviously continue to improve in everything that we do, and so we'll continue to look at that to improve, but absolutely our kids are safe, and they'll remain our priority.
When do you intend to work through the recommendations?
Media again.
Media? Yeah.
Not accredited.
According to who?
I'm not in a position to comment on that.
Do you have any interest in becoming superintendent, or are you strictly going to want to be interim?
Right now I'm just focused on the day-to-day operations, and I want to make sure that our teachers and principals and staff have what they need for our kids. That's my number one focus. I'm not looking forward to the new superintendent. My focus is also making sure that we set a path that can allow the new superintendent to be successful. So that's my number one focus.
Will you implement the 8 recommendations that were in that grand jury report?
Sorry?
Sir, are you going to implement the recommendations that were in that special grand jury report, those 8 recommendations?
As Mr. Sorokin said, that's a topic of conversation in our upcoming work session, and I'll be working alongside of our school board to take actions as needed.
Do you think the statement that was sent out by this board and the school district, that the school district is pleased that there were no indictments after the special grand jury, is appropriate? The word pleased? Do you think that's appropriate?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Mr. Sorokin, in the special grand jury report, the grand jury suggested that the second sexual assault could have and should have been prevented. Based on what you know about the situation, do you agree with that?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
To follow up on that, what actions as a school board do you think should be taken to prevent another incident from happening in the future?
I think it's important to remember that the school board and the school division have taken quite a few actions in the last 13 months. We have replaced our Title IX coordinator. We have implemented a full Title IX office that has 3 full-time staff. We have provided additional training to administrators and teachers and school-based personnel. We have rewritten or revised just about every student discipline policy that we have. We have improved our process for receiving notifications of arrests with the juvenile court system. We've attempted to revise our MOU with the Sheriff's Office to clarify our obligations and their obligations to report arrests, and several other actions. And as I mentioned, we are taking the recommendations of the grand jury very seriously in order to try and further improve and keep our children safe, and we'll be discussing that at length on Tuesday's meeting.
Do you feel like today is like a reset for the school district?
I think today is another important step that will allow our community to heal and move forward.
Dr. Smith, any plan to address the learning loss during the pandemic and spending the rest of the federal pandemic recovery fund?
Each and every day we focus on teaching and learning with our kids. And I think when folks talk about learning loss, it's really about how do we use information about what we know, what our kids know now, to help them to learn and get better. So absolutely, we work with that every single day. We want to meet our kids where they are and help them to learn and grow from there. And yes, we want to use our funds to be able to support that need. So.
Yeah, so beyond this grand jury investigation, you mentioned learning loss. What other goals do you have here? I know literacy is going to be something coming down the road. What other goals do you have?
Fortunately, on June 28th, our school board adopted our new strategic plan, and so that is our guidebook. That's where we're headed. We're focused on the 4 goals of our strategic plan. That's leading us forward. We'll report out on goal 2 on Tuesday night, which is exemplary staff and some of the work that's taking place there, and so that's going to be our focus.
I know I asked the chair why he wanted you in this position. From your perspective, given everything that's happened in the turmoil and the scrutiny, why did you feel like you wanted this position?
In working with the school board, I've had a chance to work closely with them during my tenure here, and in talking with them, they felt like I was the best fit for the position at the time, and I want to provide that stability and support for our kids, for our schools, so we can do that important work. I'm passionate about education in our kids, and I want them to have the very best. And so, I respect our school board, and they had that trust in me, and so I agreed to take that on for the division.
It's not in your bio, by the way. How old are you?
I am 43.
Statistics.
I believe so.
So as a leader, how are you going to break down communication silos in the school district? And do you also have plans to visit schools and see what teachers are thinking, what they're feeling, and listen to their recommendations to prevent, say, what happened last year?
Absolutely. In my time here already, I've visited many schools, talked with many folks about what's working, what's not, how we can continue to get better. Even I'll say these past 2 days, we had our advisory committees that has teachers represented from every single school. We have students represented, we have a student advisory, we have a principal advisory. And so really making sure staying in touch with what the needs of our school division are, what we're doing well, but importantly, how can we continue to get better? And so continuing to focus with those groups, but also, you're right, continue to visit schools and make sure we're staying in touch so we can make sure we can provide the best support so our educators can do the very best job for our kids.
Is there any effort going to be made from the school board or the superintendent to reach out to the victims' families, talk to them, kind of offer support?
I don't know that I can speak to that at this time.
I don't think we can speak to that at this time, given ongoing legal issues regarding those cases.
The perspective out there, Nick touched on this, just that the statement Tuesday indicated you all were pleased that there were no indictments stemming from this. That has sort of led to this perspective of the board being tone deaf or not necessarily sort of meeting the moment. We're obviously not hearing from you all until 48 hours afterwards to be able to ask and answer questions. So what do you say to people who are critical about the transparency that you all just said that you want to make sure parents feel like you're listening to them?
I think it's been a very busy week. I think we've taken significant and strong action within 36 hours of receiving the grand jury report, and look forward to taking further actions in a swift and timely manner to try and keep our kids safe.
Given that the report refers to a handful of employees out of, I think, 16,000 or 13,000 employees, I just wonder what kind of feedback have you gotten, Mr. Smith, from employees about morale right now? Do they feel like that they're being painted with a broad brush?
I'm sorry, I don't know that I understand the question.
I just wondered, have you got any feedback from employees about how morale is right now, given the special grand jury report?
I have not had any specific conversations with employees that have reached out around how they're feeling specifically around the grand jury report.
Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Final question. So in some of these schools in Loudoun County, I even saw this in the special grand jury report, there's been talk that there's a culture of fear in Loudoun County public schools. How do you plan to dismantle that culture of fear?
I think in terms of looking at culture, we need to continue to talk with our folks that are in our schools about how they feel, how things are going. We need to continue to be in touch with that, and we need to make sure we live up to what we say every day that we want. We want our kids, we want our staff to feel supported. They want to feel like we have a welcoming environment for them so that they can do that important work. So I think it's about staying in touch with folks and being willing to take those actions to continue to get better.
Okay, Nick, is fitting you have the final question, sir.
Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Will meetings be 15 minutes now?